President Obama owned up to the Democrats' midterm losses by saying it was a, quote, failure of politics, meaning that they weren't good at communicating with voters. Noted political analyst Nancy Pelosi apparently disagrees. She was quoted in Politico saying that the midterms were not a wave for Republicans and that her party had no problems at all getting its point across. This is what she said, quote, I don't think it was a failure of his message, meaning President Obama's. It wasn't the extent of his success. Let's say it in a more positive way. This president has accomplished many great things. You know, there is always an October eclipse, not an October surprise. We couldn't catch a break. Mark, on a scale of 1 to Godzilla, how delusional is Nancy Pelosi?
Well, look, I think she realizes Democrats have a lot of bigger problems than she's letting on. But I continue to think that between Nancy Pelosi and Harry Reid and a lame duck president, the Democrats right now are leaving themselves with very little to encourage younger supporters in Congress and around the country that they get the fact that they've got some fundamental problems.
Yeah, I mean, I get the spin wars, right? I mean, there's a lot of this is spinning and people aren't saying what they really believe. But it doesn't seem to me, in the face of this scale of a loss, that being in total denial and sort of saying we have no problems, everything's fine, nothing to see here, drive along. I just don't see how that's effective. It makes you seem delusional. I sort of jokingly said she was delusional, but I think to a lot of people it makes them seem like they're out of touch with reality.
There's two things the party is not doing now. They're not engaged in a full-throated defense of President Obama's record and their accomplishments, which they didn't do in the midterms. But the other thing is they're not talking about being a reform party. And right now, if you look at the two parties' trajectories, I'm not saying Republicans have every advantage, but on this question of, are you a reform party for the future, what Nancy Pelosi is saying is basically everything we did was great and it cost us some politically, not saying there's some fundamental problems with the party. I don't know if she really thinks that or not, but to not show voters any indication of that, I think is a mistake.
If you correctly point out the fact that you have the right position, according to 75% of the American people, on things like the minimum wage and pay equity, right? If you're supposedly right and you can point to evidence of that, and you didn't put that across and make that argument and make that case in a convincing way, in a winning way, it seems to me kind of self-evident that something is screwed up. At a minimum, you got to take at least blame for a communications failure. At a minimum, you have to do that, and at a maximum, you have to think in a more thoroughgoing way about a new agenda or new aspects of an agenda to appeal to the voters who clearly are not turned on by the party now.
So who's been pretty quiet since the midterms? Chuck Schumer, who always looking to
not and unusually quiet.
Unusually quiet. Michael Bennet, who was head of the Senate committee, also someone who's seen as a reform Democrat. Lots of other people's voices have been quiet in the wake of the midterms, and I think, of course, biggest of all, Hillary Clinton, who's not spoken out in a big, broad public way about the causes of the failures. But I think if you look at the president and Nancy Pelosi and their descriptions, again, if you're a young, reform-minded Democrat, I don't think you can be heartened to say the party gets it.
I would pay a lot of money to sit down at a table with Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton right now and ask them, put them under some sodium pentothal and ask them what they really thought the problem was last Tuesday.
Yep. Maybe someday we'll find out.